Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany Bundles and welcome to our Sunday Chit Chat Q&A video. If you are new to this channel, on Sundays I read through any questions that I received and I pick one topic to go over and elaborate on. So this video will be uploaded on Mother's Day, so I want to take a quick second and say Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. I am going to do this video because this is a question that I'm asked in my personal life, and the question is, before I even get into the question, okay, make sure you guys are subscribed. Be sure to give me a big thumbs up and let's get right into the video. So guys, the question that I get asked a lot is, how do you balance being a mom and also an entrepreneur? And I think this is a really good video because a lot of you guys that watch me, you are entrepreneurs, or you have some kind of business mindset. Even if you're working a 9-to-5, I made a video about this a few weeks back, that you can be an entrepreneur and still have a full-time job. That's possible. And so just like you can do that, you can be a mother, you can be a father, you could be a grandmother and still have your own business. Now, some of the challenges are different because when I had a 9-to-5, my responsibility while I was at work is to make sure that my children have great childcare, or that they have a place, someone's watching them that I trust, they have a place that's safe and things like that. However, when you work from home and when you have your child with you most of the time, so for example, I work from home at this point in my life, and my two sons, they're in school during the day, and my younger son, he's with me during the day. And so I do have some challenges that I'm faced with by working at home and also being a full-time mom. And so I'm going to give you guys the tips that help me and just let you guys know that it is possible and to give you guys inspiration. So before I go over the first tip, I do want to tell you guys that you definitely can still have your children in daycare. Like I can decide to, have my son in daycare, or, do other measures so that I can work full time at home on my business. But you can also decide to not have daycare and have your children with you and still work full time on your business. So the first thing that I would recommend to anyone out there, not just mothers, but this video, it was dedicated to mothers because it's Mother's Day, but also, fathers, grandmothers, anyone out there that take care of children on a daily. You may be wondering, how can I do this? How can I structure my time? So the first thing that you want to make sure you have is passion and motivation. Pick something to do that you are passionate about, like I say in every video. And I don't just say that because I like saying it, but I say it because if you are passionate about something, typically it's going to keep you motivated. If you like doing something, if you're driven on doing something, then that's going to be your push to get up and do it. Not saying you're not going to get tired of it some days, not saying you're not going to feel defeated, not saying you're not going to, say, I don't want to do it today. Not saying that at all, but it's going to keep you coming back to it. And so the first tip that I would recommend anyone is to make sure that you're passionate about what it is you're going into. Also, if your passion isn't enough to keep you motivated, then you have to find out what is going to keep you motivated. Why do you want to start this business? Why do you want to work from home? Why are you an entrepreneur? What's your purpose? And that you have to find something that's going to motivate you. So whether it's providing a better future for your children, whether it's being able to get the new car that you're wanting, whatever can motivate you, make sure that that's your focus. If you have to print out pictures of what it is that you're trying to accomplish by, doing your business, then do that. Put on your screensaver, put on your refrigerator, put it in a picture frame and put it on your office stand or on your desk. But make sure that you're keeping in mind why you're motivated. Keep staying reminded on that. That's the first tip for being an entrepreneur full-time while you also are a mom full-time. Now, the second piece of advice that I have is time management. So when I worked a 9-to-5, I just had to make sure that my children were cared for in a safe spot with safe people while I was at work. When I would get off work, I would go pick them up. That would be that. And so when you're at home and I have my child with me the majority of the day, I have to figure out how I'm going to manage my time, because I still have to make sure that I'm teaching him, getting him ready to go into school. I still have to make sure that he's not feeling neglected. I still have to make sure that I'm getting work done with my business. So I really have to find a schedule that works best for me. You can definitely look up different schedules or different recommendations for scheduling online. But ultimately, like I tell you guys, you're going to have to find out what works best for you, because my schedule may not work well for you, because we're dealing with different children, we're dealing with different businesses, and we're dealing with different tasks for the day. And so you want to make sure, even if you do it a day in advance, or I would recommend doing it maybe a week in advance, because I've learned that a lot of things could change the further you plan them out. I'm not saying don't have any plans at all, but I'm saying when I actually plan blocks out. So when I say, okay, from 9 to 10, this is what we're doing. From 10 to 11, this is what we're doing. When I plan hour blocks out, I like to do that within a week's time span, because some things can change. You know what I mean? There may be some appointments that come up. There may be some changes that come up. So I just like to do it in a week. And so I get up and I try to stick to that schedule as close as I can. And I make sure in my schedule that I'm implementing what is necessary, what I have to get done that day. And I'm building a routine for not only me, but for my son as well. So I would definitely recommend to manage your time in a way that works well for you and your family. The third tip that I have is your priorities. So that kind of goes into planning. So what are your priorities? What do you have to get done? I made a video a few months ago about, how I felt about working at home. Now, when you work at home, a lot of people assume, this is great. This is great. And it is great. I'm not going to downplay it or anything like that. But you do have to make sure that you're staying focused, and you have to remember where your priorities lie. It's very, very easy to get caught up in I'm just going to watch Netflix today. It's very, very easy to get caught up in I'm going to go ahead and go to breakfast today. And then after breakfast, I'm going to go to the mall. And then after the mall, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, because you have so much free time. And especially if you're coming directly from a 9 to 5 to just having complete free time, it takes discipline. It takes discipline. I'm telling you guys, it's not as easy as it seems. And so I have to make sure that my priorities are in check. So what I mean by that is, if I have to send out hair, that's a priority. That's a priority. So I have to make sure that that's on the top of my agenda. I want to make sure that I get my priorities done as early as possible, just in case something else arises. I have to make sure that my child is getting prepared for preschool. And so we go over different numbers. Right now we're working on him writing his name, his first name. And so I have to make sure that I put that at the top of my list too. I have to make sure I get this done, because these are my priorities. Now, not saying that nothing else is important during my day, because everything is going to be important to building my business, and also bettering my child, and preparing him for preschool. But also, I have to make sure that I have the highlighted areas of my day in check. The fourth tip that I have is allow your children to feel involved. So with my son, a lot of work that I do is either on my phone or on my computer. And even when I worked from 9 to 5, I would still have to come home and work after work, making sure the orders were done, making sure my social media is up to date. And my son, literally, he would bring he had a little VTech computer, and he would bring his computer in with me, and we would both be working. And he had a little toy phone as well. I think I have pictures of it too. So I'll try to find the pictures and insert them if I can. But he would do that. Yeah, so I love making him feel involved. And even now, when I go to the post office, sometimes if I'm carrying like a wholesale order, I'll ask him to lift up the wholesale box. Even though he can't really lift it up, I'm lifting it up for him on the other side. He feels like he's doing something. And the guy at the post office, because we're regulars, he always greets us. He's like, "Oh, thank you so much, man. Thank you for working today. Are you working today?" And my son just blushes and he starts smiling. So he feels involved. And helping them feel involved helps them feel like they're not being ignored, because, you don't want to, it's easy, like I said again, to get so wrapped up in your work that you shut everything out. And we don't want that. Constantly be aware of what you're doing and how much time you're spending on your business, because although you do have to spend time, although you are going to have to work very, very hard to achieve your goals, you still don't want your child to feel like he's being neglected. Even if you have a 9 to 5, you still don't want your child to feel like, wow, work comes first. And so invite them in the office, especially if it's something that they can do. I know sometimes when I'm writing down notes, or when I'm writing down a speech that I may be wanting to do or go over, my son has his pencil and he has his notepad and he's writing too. But that not only keeps him occupied and quiet while I get work done, but it makes him feel like he has a purpose. It makes him feel like he's doing something and that I'm appreciative of his work. And so yes, make sure that your children feel involved with what you're doing. And then number 5 is resources. So I recommend that everyone that is an entrepreneur and also a full-time mom, to make sure that you have resources in place. Everyone has a different type of setup, whether you're a single mom, whether you co-parent, whether you have your spouse in the house with you. Everyone has a different setup. Everyone has a different work schedule. Everyone has different agendas. And so there are some days when you are working that your child may not be able to come with you. For example, if you're going to a certain meeting, or if you're doing a conference or a workshop or a skill building class, or if you're doing mentoring, there are going to be different things that arise. that may not be appropriate for your child to attend. And so with that being said, you still want to make sure that you have some resources in place, whether that be you have an on-call babysitter or an on-call daycare that you've already checked out and that you feel comfortable with. So in those days, your child still feels comfortable enough to go there and to stay there. Also, resources, different family members. You may want to talk to them and let them know what you're doing. And I know this is hard for some people because some people don't like to really let anyone in. But I made a video a few weeks ago as well about it's okay to ask for help. And so it's okay to ask, because ultimately there are going to be some days you're going to be like, wow, I can't take him with me right now, And so, just making sure that you have resources in place. Even if your children are in school, it's still a good idea to make sure you have resources for maybe an unexpected call home. So you want to make sure that you're available. And if you're not available, you still have someone there that can go and get your child. And so being a mom full-time at home and also being an entrepreneur at home full-time, they're very possible to do. Does it get challenging at times? It definitely does. But then I have to remind myself to stay grateful, because I do remember the days that I was at work all day, especially when I started going to work. When my first son was a baby, I would just cry and I would just want to be around him. I felt like I was missing out on so many of his milestones, and I just felt like I wasn't around as much as I should be. And I felt guilty for so many years about just being at work so often. And at that time, I had a job where we had mandatory overtime, so I would be working my shift plus more as the company needed. And I just was like, man, I feel like I'm not having enough time with my children. So when we get in a position where we are working from home, we still want to remain grateful, because it is a blessing to be able to be around your children, but we also want to make sure that we're doing it the right way. And so these tips really help me stay organized, making sure I'm motivated, making sure that the passion is still there, making sure I'm managing my time by setting schedules. Typically, I do a week in advance, making sure I'm prioritizing what needs to be done for that day, highlighting what has to be done. Also allowing my kids to feel like they're involved in my business and what they do is appreciated. And then resources, making sure that I have people and things in place so that if I'm doing something that I can't involve my children in, that they're still being taken care of and I can still focus on what needs to be done for the business. So you guys, I really hope this video helped. I do want to just say again, happy Mother's Day to everyone out there that is, a mother, everyone out there that takes care of their children. Does not go unnoticed here. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions regarding anything, make sure you leave them below or contact me on my social medias. That way we can go over those topics on the next Sunday Chit Chat Q&A video. But please make sure you are subscribed, like this video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.